You are in direct violation of Section 3, subsection A. This fence must come down immediately.
I have the survey right here.
We are fully compliant.
At 6:18 a.m. on May 3, 2024, I opened my front door and almost walked into a brand new metal fence. It was bolted right across my porch steps like a tiny prison gate. Cold air hit my face, and the fence made that sharp clang when I touched it, like a shopping cart in a storm. The wood on my porch was still wet from last night's rain, and the street smelled like asphalt warming up. Across the way, the woman in the robe stood with her arms folded, smiling like she'd just won a game show. 2 orange cones sat at the end of my walkway, because apparently my house needed traffic control now. I wish I could say I stayed calm, but my brain went straight to one sentence. Karen fenced my porch screaming, "This is private property." Then I filed the survey with the court file stamp. She wasn't screaming yet, but I could see it loading in her face like a video buffering. This fight was about one thing: my porch and the strip of land in front of it. It's deeded to my lot. Not shared. I bought this place for peace, not for someone to slap a fence on my front steps like I was the problem. I stood there in socks, staring at bolts that weren't there yesterday, and I felt my day get stolen in real time. I walked over and said, as steady as I could, "Hey, you can't block my porch." She stepped closer, eyes wide, voice loud enough to wake the birds. "This is private property. You've been using it." I looked behind her, at my own front door, like maybe I'd teleported. Using it? I live here. I tried logic anyway. The HOA rules don't beat my deed. I'll call the board and we'll fix this. She laughed and said, "The board already knows." Then she pointed at my porch like she was presenting a crime scene. 2 neighbors were outside pretending to check their mail. They did not look up. They did not blink. They did that scared, stiff thing people do when they don't want to be next. By 9:00 a.m., I was in the clubhouse office with stale coffee breath and a headache, asking the HOA chair to remove the fence. The chair didn't even invite me to sit. He kept tapping his pen like I was late for detention. He said, "It's a common area dispute. We'll review it at the next meeting." I said, "It's not common. It's on my lot." He smiled the way people smile when they already decided you're annoying. The board rep took notes like this was a cute little complaint, not a locked porch. In the parking lot, I caught a neighbor's eye and she looked down so fast it was like I'd flashed a flashlight at her. I realized then the board wasn't ignoring me by accident. They were letting the loudest person win. That night, I stood on my porch behind the fence like some sad museum exhibit. I didn't kick it. I didn't cut it. I didn't do anything that would make me the story. I told myself, proper channels only. Smart and clean. I went inside and opened a notebook like I was studying for a test. Timeline item 1 April 5th at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. That one line made my stomach drop because, yeah, the cops had shown up once before, sleepy and confused, asking if I was supposed to be there. I kept my voice calm and gave them my ID, but now I could see the pattern. This wasn't just rude. It was a plan. The next week became my receipt season. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I printed the HOA emails where they said "we'll review, we'll discuss, we'll get back to you," like a broken toy. I took fresh pictures every morning with the date showing on my phone screen, the fence, the bolts, the cones, all of it. On May 7, 2024, I paid a licensed surveyor $600 to come out and mark the corners. When he hammered in the stakes, the metal sounded bright and final, like a bell. The woman in the robe watched from her window. She didn't come outside this time. She just stood there, lips tight, like the stakes were insulting her personally. On May 10, 2024, I went to the county records building downtown. It smelled like old paper and floor cleaner, and the chairs were that hard plastic that makes you sit up straight whether you want to or not. I asked for the plat map and deed records, and the clerk slid a stack across the counter like she'd done it 1,000 times. When the surveyor's map came in, I filed it with the property record packet and then filed my complaint in small claims for unlawful obstruction. The court clerk stamped my copy with that heavy thump that makes your heart jump. The file landed with 68 pages, and every page felt like armor. I walked out into the sun with my stamped papers in a folder, and for the first time in days, I could breathe. The payoff came at the next HOA meeting on May 18, 2024, at 7:00 p.m. The room was full, not because people loved the HOA, but because everyone loves drama when it isn't happening to them. The chair tried to move fast, like he could speedrun my problem into silence. I stood up and said, "I'm not here to argue. I'm here to show the boundary." I held up the court-stamped survey and the plat map like they were a magic spell. The woman in the robe snapped her head around and hissed, "That's fake." I didn't raise my voice. I just handed copies to the board, one by one, and asked them to read the lot line out loud. At first, the room went quiet in that fake polite way. Then the quiet got messy. Phones came out like they were part of the dress code. I heard someone whisper, "Is that his porch?" Another voice, I thought it was shared, but that's clearly on his lot. Someone behind me muttered, "She fenced him in like a dog, are you serious?" A guy near the back said, "My cousin got fined for a trash can, but she can build a fence overnight?" I saw the chair's face change when he realized people were recording. The board rep stopped writing and started staring. The group chat buzz started right there. I could see thumbs moving, little screens glowing in laps. Even the neighbors who avoided my eyes before were suddenly very interested in boundaries and bolts. 2 days later, the authority piece snapped into place. A county code inspector came out on May 20, 2024, at 2:15 p.m., because a structure blocking an occupied entrance is a safety issue, not an HOA vibe issue. He measured the setback, checked the fasteners, and took photos of the fence across my steps. He asked who installed it. The woman in the robe tried to talk over him and said it was HOA approved. He didn't even look at her when he said, "Approval doesn't override property lines." Then a deputy followed up about the earlier trespass call because I included the incident number in my filings. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. The deputy said it flat, like a rule on a poster, not a threat. The inspector left a notice taped to the fence with a deadline, and suddenly the board's favorite word wasn't review anymore. It was comply. That's when the whole neighborhood energy shifted, and you could feel it like the air pressure changed. The board members sat straighter, like their chairs got harder. People who used to nod along started asking questions out loud, slow and careful, like they were tasting freedom. The chair kept clearing his throat, but it didn't work anymore. The loud confidence drained out of the room because evidence does that. You could see the bully effect breaking, like a spell getting snapped with a loud clap. A few neighbors stopped hiding behind polite smiles and started documenting everything, not just me. They filmed the notice on the fence. They filmed the survey pages. They filmed the board's faces when the words lot line and court stamp came up. Nobody was laughing at me now. They were watching her, the way people watch a balloon lose air. The fence came down on May 23, 2024, at 8:40 a.m. I heard the ratchet first, that click-click sound, and then the metal scraped the wood as it lifted away. No one knocked to apologize. The woman in the robe didn't wave. The board didn't send a friendly note. Instead, I got a short email that said the matter is resolved and future modifications require review, like they were still trying to sound in charge. But the real change wasn't the email. It was the neighborhood. People started saying hi again. One older guy walked up and said, "Thanks for standing up. We all needed that." A mom on my street brought over banana bread like I'd returned from war. Shift paragraph number 2 was real life, the spell was gone. People started saving screenshots, asking for meeting minutes, and showing up instead of hiding. The bully had less oxygen, and everyone knew it. By June 1, 2024, the board quietly fined the woman for an unapproved structure and told her she had to pay the inspector recheck fee, which made her face do that tight little twitch like she was chewing a lemon. I planted 2 small planters by my porch steps, just because I could. The porch smelled like fresh soil instead of wet stress. One neighbor asked to see my binder so she could fight a parking warning. I let her. That felt like the best revenge, honestly. Not yelling. Not drama. Just paper, dates, and calm. I keep the court-stamped copy in a drawer now, and when I look at it, I remember how fast power changes when you bring proof to the table. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share. Was the HOA wrong? Drop a comment.